everybody. You are either watching or listening to another Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for the online board game store, rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Jonathan Estes.
And I'm Mo Keeler, and we got some good stories for you today.
Yes, we've got things ranging from ammunitions issues to issues that aren't ammunitions related.
Yes.
Oh, we run the whole gamut. But
before we go, do you have a board game history?
I have an in real life history today.
Ooh, in real life history.
Because this is a special occasion. I just want to say a thing before we start. If you are in fact watching this on Tuesday, November 8th in the United States of America, you should go and vote and turn this off. And don't come back and watch this until you have voted. This is a voters only show, assuming that you're 18 and older.
Also in America.
Yes, as I said, if you're in the United States of America. Otherwise, don't worry about it. But yeah, on this day in board game history, we voted for the President of the United States of America. Have fun voting! And you can go on Kickstarter and find some Trump v. Clinton board games that have come out every week for the last year. And that's your historical sustenance for this election. So, you know what's a real hot button issue in this election, though?
Emails.
And that relates to, of course, guns.
Yes.
Gun control, boy, that's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, what possible connection could there be between gun control, guns, and board games on this podcast? Well, I'll tell you, the NRA, the National Rifle Association, published a blog post about a week ago, and I believe this is a thing they do every so often, where they recommend different activities for target practice, that kind of thing, recreational gun shooting. And their suggestion for this month was to take old board games and use them as target practice. And in support of that, they gave printouts of different versions of, for example, the Candyland board game, redubbed Targetland, with different targets on it, as well as there's one for Battleship and Checkers, I believe. So that's interesting in itself. And in fact, Hasbro actually caught wind of this and gave them a cease and desist notice. And when I looked back at it, I couldn't find the actual original blog post, just the stories about it. So I think they took it down by now. But so that's an interesting thing. Their argument was that, you have these old board games lying around. You should take them up and make something more fun out of them. They specifically targeted, no pun intended, Hasbro old classic family games. There was no Battlestar targets on there or anything like that.
Well, I'm not a little surprised, considering if you have an old copy that actually might be worth something.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know. What do you any controversial, hot political opinions on this issue?
Well, as you know, I am a strong, staunch defender of ghost horse marriage. So this directly relates to my opinions. As
are we all. Let's get some comment.
Well, it's it almost feels like shooting up old things is like, take the old stuff in your garage, shoot it. It sounds like some joke commercial. I need to clean up the garage, shoot it. It is
a little weird, I guess. And the one of the, I don't know if it's arguments against it, but one of the things I saw pointed out was maybe there's an implication because these are family-friendly games.
That's definitely the cease and desist, is because, Candyland, which I would argue, and I'm pretty sure you would agree or understand, is one of probably the lowest bars for a game, like for a kid, like to play. Like very few games you can play for a younger kid to understand. Like,
right, it's clearly targeted at those little kids.
And to be like, hey kids, you want to play this? Now let's shoot it. Like, some people probably wouldn't want the connection of guns and Candyland to be together.
I mean, there are definitely, I wouldn't mind shooting Candyland. There's some other, I wouldn't mind shooting a game of Monopoly. Yeah.
However, I think Battleship is the one where they could have some real fun.
Yeah.
Because you can set up your target on the back with balloons or something, and then you both go into the shooting range. And when you shoot, you can see if it explodes red or not. And you could actually do something like a lot more fun with that.
I agree. I agree.
And also Operation.
Make sure you only shoot his kidney. You don't want to shoot the area around the kidney. That'll ruin the operation. Yeah, it is. I suppose it is. It's a little dumb and pointless, but maybe somewhat troubling, and probably for the best that they took it down. I do think it is the fact that they specifically mention kids board games is sort of, it's a slippery slope. It's a line that you don't want to get close to.
But like I said, like with Battleship, which actually is about shooting ships,
that's true.
Really,
that's true.
I don't think you have a right to call it
that game's already about.
Like you could actually do something I think that has a target practice element, while at the same time keeping to the game. So you can do some fun, interesting things with it.
Come on, NRA. Do some fun, interesting things with it. I mean, hey, they paid some intern to write Target land on top of a Candyland poster. So good for them. Yeah, so sorry, it wasn't as, didn't get the blood boiling like I thought it would. But if anyone out there is super anti targets, let us know.
If you are highly in support of this or highly against this, let's start a giant comment war. That's what you want. You just want a comment war on this video.
I want to have our own like salon.com article where they talk about how bad we are. Anyway,
well, I'm sure they can do that. They just spent 5 minutes with us.
On to less troubling news. In some regards, in the real life sense, in the thematic fictional sense, far more troubling perhaps. The Fantasy Flight has announced a new Arkham Horror book. Can you hear my sinuses going right
yes.
now?
This is, by the way, the reason why we actually had to postpone this video for a little bit.
I'm getting over a little bit of a cold.
Shockingly, only 24 hours ago, if you were to look at Jonathan, he looked like he was from a Cthulhian mythos.
It was a disaster. Anyway, this book, it is the Arkham Horror Investigations hardcover, Investigators of Arkham Horror book. It's a hardcover 264-page book, full color, and what it includes is, I believe, 52 different short stories, each one about a different investigator from one of the Arkham Horror series of games.
Right, which tend to overlap considerably, at least I can think of. Most of them appear again.
Yes,
so.
And they're calling them the Arkham Horror Investigations line. So I thought this was kind of really cool. The art looks really cool. The fact that they have these stories. There's also a bonus if you pre-order the book before it comes out in the next couple weeks from Fantasy Flight's site. You get a playmat, some art prints, and 3 cards for the Arkham Horror LCG.
Can I borrow your phone? I need to pre-order.
Oh, go ahead. So yeah, I mean, we have
honestly,
Arkham Horror books.
I was gonna say, if without even you mentioned that pre-order stuff, I actually do want this. Like, because if you read through the characters, read the backs and stuff. I mean, they have little things that hint, especially. I don't know if you remember, since it's been so long since we played it, because I really want to make a setup so we can actually set it up within, a reasonable amount of time. Arkham Horror, they added, for each character, had personal missions. And if you passed or failed, and they said things about them like, I need to deliver this, or I'm researching the death of this person, or so on. So a lot of these characters do have like these little bits, and this is finally like tying them all together and actually is a little story. And, I mean, Arkham is a Cthulhian Lovecraft, is a place that this works, I think, very well. It's something we love to have that kind of.
Yeah, we obviously lends itself to that.
I mean, it's why I think our favorite Lovecraftian games are usually the ones that are usually steeping with story. I mean, like, we've played plenty of them that are just mechanically, and we're like, yeah, okay, it's Cthulhu, okay. But like when it has this and the story, even if the mechanics aren't amazing, we'll always be like, oh man, I really feel like I'm, diving into this mystery or something.
Right.
So this just seems like a perfect match.
Yeah, and it is interesting because like there have been those Arkham Horror like novels. This is a little different in that also in the literal physical sense that it's this big. It looks more like what I expected it to be was like an art book. So I didn't expect there to be actual stories in it, which is kind of cool. It feels more like a collector's item kind of a thing, but it is also a little more. I'm not sure how big it actually is, but it looks big. Like I imagine it to be big. It's hardcover, so maybe not the kind of thing you could like take on a train with you and read. More of a coffee table book kind of thing. But yeah, I'm right there with you. It's I'm just hoping there's a glorious story.
Like I said, I'm probably gonna buy it, and this is now the pre-orders because the Star Wars, not Star Wars, wow, the LCG. Like we talked about it because we played it at Gen Con. I'm super excited for it because at first when they first announced, ending the Call of Cthulhu and this, I'm like, really? Why don't you just? But after playing and realizing, because the Call of Cthulhu plays more like Game of Thrones, Internet Runner. It's a versus. When this plays more like the Lord of the Rings. Have you played the Lord of the Rings LCG?
I have not yet.
Not
played
yet.
that.
Okay. Well, we need to get you on.
I know.
Which that actually plays cooperatively, and you play through the story, which works with Lord of the Rings, and it feels like Lord of the Rings. And this makes sense because this feels like Lovecraft. It doesn't make sense someone's controlling like Cthulhu in a deck or something, but this makes sense because it's like you're playing a scenario, a story. So that really excites me. So it only makes this even makes a more connection. So, and that comes out very soon, if not already.
Yes.
Depending on when you're watching this.
Right. Soon, and those cards come with it. And I have to imagine with 52 stories that's got to cover every character, right?
I think so.
There aren't. I didn't even think there were 50. So there's no way there's more than 52, right?
Not well. I could see them covering because I know something that also jumps between games is also they're not investigators per se. They're like the
like side characters.
Yeah, you know, like
the allies.
The diner. I think it's Velma. Velma's Diner, I think. But like those kind of things, you know.
Yeah, there could be that kind of stuff. That would be good.
So yeah, I'm definitely excited for it.
Check it out right now. You can pre-order on Fantasy Flight site to get that exclusive goodie bonus pack to come with it. Yeah, it does sound pretty cool. And last story of the day is just kind of a weird one. You know the movie Jumanji?
Oh, I know it.
And you know the game Jumanji?
Oh, I know.
You know the curse of Jumanji. You lived it.
I lived it.
Yes, you did. And of course, they're coming out with the Jumanji remake, I believe next year. Well, if you can't wait for the new Jumanji movie, all you have to do is get on a plane to Paris, France.
Okay, that's not hard.
Within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Where they are opening an exclusive pop-up bar themed around Jumanji, the original movie. You can see it a little bit behind us if you're watching the video. And it's all jungle themed. And there's going to be specialty drinks. It's called Jumanji. With like Monki.
That actually sounds really bad because
we won't get into it. But it's sponsored, I believe, by this Monkey Shoulder whiskey, and it's part of this. They do this, I think, every year. This like bar competition. So it's just a pop-up thing. It's only going to be there for a few weeks. It's not a permanent installation. But supposedly they're going to have games and actual puzzles to solve while you're there and drinking. You're going to have to find clues and stuff. It's almost like a murder mystery thing while you're drinking. All right, it sounds kind of neat.
Yeah, I, at least personally, have only been to one pop-up. It was the Munchkin one. And
not a bar, but
it's a pop-up store in general. And I'm actually a really big fan of it because, let's be honest, if this was just a general bar, I don't think it would survive. But for a pop-up for a week or two, that's really great because you can do something that's a lot more specific, like Jumanji, in an area. And I wish I could go there. Like, doesn't that sound awesome?
We can. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I wish I could go there if I had the funds available and the time.
Yeah, well, isn't there, I thought it was a permanent installation. Maybe it was the temporary. There was like a Tim Burton bar in New York City. Like, I've heard of weird things like this before, but yeah, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that could sustain itself for that long, which is why
it might, but I don't think as super, but doing it for a week gets the bigger crowd. And I'm just saying that in general, something specific. Like, you could do like a pop-up, like this probably works. You could do a Cthulhu one, for example, if we're sticking with board games. Less board games, like, especially for advertising, like, what if they did a pop-up like Uncharted when Uncharted came out, like, in New York? You know you would be there.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. Well, we've talked about, a long time ago, we talked about our ideas for theme parks, board game theme parks, and I know a bunch of our ideas were all, like, restaurant-related.
Well, because we like food.
So there's definitely, like, some pretty cool things you could do with board game bars and restaurants and cafes.
But also the idea, there is always, and I think in particular it's even more so now because we haven't, like the idea of expanding into mysterious jungle, finding a temple, solving puzzles. I mean, like, Indiana Jones, Jumanji, Legends of the Lost Tomb, like all these things, the idea of like finding this ancient relic. So having a bar based on that where you can actually then solve little puzzles and stuff would just sound, like it sounds so much fun.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So I hope that I don't think if anyone's watching this who lives in France, please let us know. If you
send us pictures.
Yeah,
so we can be jealous.
I think it's opening in a couple days, and it'll be open for the next few weeks. So buy your tickets now. Get them right now. You gotta get there fast. I look forward to Jumanji in 2017. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
which will surely be reviewed when it comes out.
Yes. Oh boy, that's gonna be fun. I hope. So we have some Kickstarters, and One of them is pretty big. It came in, it was announced like right after our last podcast, but it's now officially live, which is the Mega Man Pixel Tactics crossover. If you're not familiar with Pixel Tactics, it's a level 99 tactical card game for 2 players. The original one is all based around this 8-bit art, and you have this 3x3 field, and you're battling each other.
Yeah.
And
And if you're not familiar with Mega Man, play some video games. Also, it's a small little blue robot who kills other robots for power-ups. That's all you really need to know.
That's all you really need to know. And this is actually a partnership with Jasco Games, who published the Mega Man board game itself, which came out a little while ago. And this is basically just, well, it's 2 decks. There's a blue one and a red one, and together they have all of the robot masters from the first 6 Mega Man games. It's just based around the NES games, if you can tell from the art style. And you can buy one or both, and it's fully compatible with the original Pixel Tactics.
I would hope so.
Yeah, so you can totally mix and match. But other than that, it is pretty much Pixel Tactics. Like, it's a new expansion for that. If you're not familiar with Mega Man, you don't need to be at all. There's no kind of trivia, and even their abilities are.
Well, I know that Bubble Man can
Right.
be Fireman, so I can do.
Yeah, it's not like in Mega Man where like you get the weapon that's always better than against the other guy. Although that'd be kind of funny. But so it seems like a pretty good fit. I don't know. What do you think about this kind of it's a crossover from not just 2 board game companies, but 2 board game companies and a video game company.
The first thing that I think is funny, because I think we talked a little bit about this with the League of Legends one, is the dichotomy between the video game community and the board game community, and how they view each other, and also how they view the pricing of things and stuff. But this should be on a much lower price that makes sense to video gamers, like, because it's just a card game. And I think it makes sense here a lot, because the game Pixel Tactics is about pixel guys that, in essence, I was mocking the idea, or not mocking, satirical of the whole 8-bit era, not just Mega Man, but Final Fantasy and Mario and all that stuff. So I think it's a perfect fit alongside.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like pretty much a no-brainer.
I mean, that doesn't mean we should throw video games into every game. I don't think we should get Arkham Horror Mario.
I do. Mario Arkham Horror.
There's plenty of things that could fit perfect, and this is one of them. Because I definitely feel Mega Man's one, not as bad as Sonic, but I definitely feel a lot of people feel his 8-bit adventures are probably his better ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he just hasn't had that many 3D or anything recently. Yeah, for sure. And I wonder if they would add any other. I wonder if it seems like it was really this perfect, like, serendipitous thing where the other board game company had the rights to that, as opposed to them communicating to Capcom, for example. So I wonder if this doesn't seem like something that would happen again too often. Like, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a big success. Maybe we'll see Street Fighter Pixel Tactics.
Well, we already know isn't Street Fighter going to come up in level 99 already and stuff?
I don't know if it was level 9, but there is another game with Street Fighter coming out.
The one the big ones that are interesting for me to see do things are Riot Games, which we did see, and Nintendo. The reasoning, because to me, out of all other game companies, those 2 are, and there's probably some others, but these are the 2 I really know, are very protective about their stuff. Like, I know Riot Games was really hard to push for official merchandise and figures for a long time. And Nintendo, well, we've seen how Nintendo acts constantly, like, with their stuff. So it'd be interesting to see those guys start creeping into the board game business more. That isn't just the obvious Monopoly and, the things that usually just get skinned over.
Yeah, I would love that. Even like a, like the Cryptozoic deck building Zelda game would be a huge step. Would be like, wow, I'm like, because they've never even, Monopoly is the only thing. Oh, and they've had, like, in chess, Mario Chess.
Right. No, I mean, I wouldn't count that, even though the deck building Cryptozoic is sort of like that. It isn't, because the deck building mechanics there. It's not the Monopoly or the Yahtzee, like the one that you could blindfold playing the same game. But no, I definitely agree seeing like those. And another cool thing, sort of related to level 99. This was an official, but I don't remember if you recall. Someone actually took their other game. I'm calling blanking, the 2-fighter.
BattleCon?
Thank you, BattleCon. And edited to have all the Smash Brothers characters.
Oh, I remember that.
In which you actually use the amiibos to move back and forth.
I think we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And I actually sent my cousin I sent him that game so he can then modify it with his amiibos and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a good crossover appeal thing. I'm sure they're going to get a ton of people who only play video games interested in this that they wouldn't have otherwise.
No, we need to join the communities together.
We do.
So we can hate together.
It is only $15 for each pack, and if you buy both together, it's $35. So you're saving $5. Or I'm sorry, it's 20 for both.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's 5 more.
20 for both, and together it's 35. So you're saving $5 in that case. Now, next up, moving away, let's more pixels, more polygons. Destiny Aurora Renegades. What's going on here?
Now, this one apparently is based on a book series, which I do not know anything about, so
all right,
we're going to just continue from there. And the idea is it's a 2 to 4 player game, and you're playing on you have your ship, and you're fighting each other in space, and you all have objectives and stuff, but you also have a crew in which they actually you have little miniatures, so you decide who fills what role.
Okay.
And then your goal is also land on planets to find treasure and do other objectives, but to do so, you need a landing party. So you may
Star
send
Trek.
the people you may send, though, someone else may have to fill the slot. So you may send your weapon officer, and therefore your medic's taking care of the guns, which he's not a good aim. So it becomes this really fun balance of I thought it was really cool because we've played games when you fight just in space or just a planet, and this is a cool balance of the two. And to me, that was really cool. And I think that crew members, they had 50 something, if I recall, a large cast to pull from, each with their own miniatures and abilities and stuff. So to me, I thought that was really cool and allowed for a lot of unique change-ups, and it's definitely the next step of what we'd want from a it's a sci-fi based game.
Because we played a lot of those, like you said, like Space Alert, and then there's Space Cadets, and then they made Space Cadets Away Missions, which was the on-land part.
Right.
So this is
and even
both.
Firefly, if you recall, you go on missions, but it's not the same. You don't feel
you're not
outside
on
of someone dying. You're not oh, if I send this guy, I don't have the repair on the ship or something.
You feel like you're on your ship still, conducting.
Honestly. And how many times do we almost just send everyone?
Almost all the time, which may speak more to our poor strategies then. But
because I feel like at the time it's just I want more meat shields for the characters, so to speak, than maybe a couple times you don't, River.
But anyway,
yeah.
this sounds like a cool thing.
I definitely think if you're into the sci-fi genre, this is definitely something to check out. Miniatures too. It has miniatures.
It has miniatures, people.
So,
it goes for $75, so it's miniatures. You get those miniatures in there.
But a whole bunch of variety and stuff for all different campaigns. And of course, like I said, they're actually maps for off-world and space. So when you actually go off-planet, you are moving around a little planet area.
It's pretty awesome. Check that one out. If you don't like sci-fi, maybe you like fantasy a little bit more.
Maybe.
This one I thought sounded really cool and interesting. It is called Expelled, emphasis on the spelled. This is sort of a very unique concept to me. They had another game, I believe it was called the Cloudland, which came before this, and this is sort of an evolution of that same concept, that engine. It's an RPG / storytelling / choose your own adventure kind of game. It's a book, and the premise is that
books.
Yeah, the premise is you've all joined a wizarding school, and it's like the safety school that you're not good wizards. Everybody gets accepted into this school, and you're going on adventures. It's for 2 to 6 players, and you're doing things. But what makes it really unique and interesting, it's like an RPG. You have characters and stats, and you're making choices as a group. But you're actually going to be throughout the game cutting out pieces of paper and crafting them. So, for example, your characters you cut out your own characters and you can color them in yourself, and they have their own. If you get armor, you can attach armor to them and color it in, that kind of thing.
Okay.
You have wands, and your wands are folded 3D paper craft, and it has instructions within, almost like origami style, on how to create these, not origami, but paper craft kind of thing. Create your different things, and there's a lot of variety of different mini games, and you have to make choices and go to different pages and cut stuff out. But it does come with also PDFs, so if you did want to replay it, you can reprint things and do them again. So I haven't tried that original concept, but it sounds really fun and unique and interesting, and it's a family-friendly thing. You can play it with kids or adults. And I'd love to try it.
Now I just imagine we sit at the table okay, we all should be similar, crafting period. Then Kubo goes down, just hits a guitar, and it's oh, crud.
Yeah, that would be Kubo's OP in this game. But yeah, if you like storytelling adventure, I don't know, it sounded really neat. Or things like...
origami?
Yeah, origami. What's the Tales of Arabian Nights? It's like that kind of a thing. It's only $15 to get the full book. And that comes with the print and play, so you can even try it out.
Nice.
And since so much of this is print and cut and color and stuff,
you probably need that print and play.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. So check that one out. Expelled. Finally, not a game. Flight deck panel and case.
Yeah.
What's this?
So this was actually a really cool product. It's like a little folder, no big, like literal. Think of the size of a folder.
Okay.
It actually like folds out like those laptops that can like click open like this or a touchscreen or something, and you can hold all your like they use pretty much Star Wars. It's obvious Star Wars X-Wings was initially the thought, but you can use it for other things, and it was really cool.
Okay.
You can actually hold all your cards in position, so you can actually show the damage on them and stuff. And to me, this was really cool because it had slots for just the small cards, the damage cards like they have, which we know plenty of other games that have that kind of stuff, and bigger cards. And I thought this was really cool because I thought it was a nice, smaller travel pactition that can carry something, while also like in a game like not just the X-Wing like they use, but also like Arkham. I can think of all the times when you have like 6 different cards, you can actually have a little binder or something. Everyone can bind for each person or something.
Right.
And I thought it was a really fun appliance for a game application to bring to the table.
Well, it's like, in Mage Wars, having that binder for your spell cards is kind of neat. It's kind of like that for anything. Yeah, anything that adds helpful organization is always
Yeah,
a cool
because
plus.
I mean, by giving the vertical space also, how many times have we been like we're just starting to push into each other like.
That is an interesting thought. It's almost like, what if there was like a board, like a Velcro board for you to have? But yeah, like if you like, there's a lot of things for most board games that if you made them vertical, somehow could really like this. It does really save you a lot of space and make things easier to look at. It's kind of interesting.
Well, if you think about it, when in a digital game, what helps with it because you scroll, so it technically is vertical.
Right.
So I thought this was a really fun, simple application to really help a lot of board games in some management.
And you can find that one for $30 on Kickstarter, as well as all these other Kickstarters linked right below in this video. We recommend them. We liked them. Check them out. See what you think. If there's any that we missed that we didn't say,
let us know.
Let us know. How about some viewer emails?
How about some?
I hope we're not getting too predictable on this show. I hope people are bored with us.
Maybe Jonathan will explode. Maybe not. You'll have to keep watching.
We need to edit in a thing in the beginning of this episode that someone will die. Yeah, how about this? At the end of the episode, we're going to reveal on the count of 3 who we're endorsing in the election this year. No, not who we're endorsing, just our prediction.
Oh, so who do you think we're going to win?
Who's going to win? Yeah.
Okay, I think that's yeah.
Yeah, who's going to win the election? All right.
It's Paul Bunyan.
So stay tuned, guys. Now it's exciting. All right, a bunch of your comments. Another report about the Betrayal at Widow's Walk expansion, again in the wrong direction of what we were hoping for, from Dan Buddha. He points out something interesting. It's kind of complicated. Including the Widow's Walk expansion, the total number of Omen cards in Betrayal is 23, and the total number of tiles with an Omen symbol on them is 18, which means there's a chance that 5 Omen cards won't be drawn. Because if you've drawn all 18,
right,
you won't draw more Omen cards. And he says there's a scenario number 23 in which the hero, in his group, the heroes uncovered every single tile without drawing the necessary Omen tile that they needed to win that particular scenario, making it impossible
without drawing?
For them to win the tile. Basically, there was a tile that they needed that was an Omen tile, and it never came up. And they just couldn't win.
Okay.
This is what he says. I'm just reading the comments, folks.
But they went through all the tiles?
Uncovered every tile without drawing the necessary Omen to win the... Oh, no, sorry, card. It's a card. Not I misspoke.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think the problem with that one is...
Because, yes, you can draw every tile, but this was a card.
Sorry. Okay, that makes more sense.
It was a little confusing the way I said it.
The problem with that one, and I think what you have to do is...
House rule it?
Well, yeah, because when this was made... They didn't have those extra Omen cards. This added more Omen cards.
Actually, that's something good. I hadn't thought about this. I assumed this was a new scenario.
He said 23.
Are they the new ones numbered in the upwards?
Yeah, they're 51 and up.
Interesting.
So
okay,
this, I understand your anger, and it's something we have to actually look at. So if we do an older scenario, we have to pause, and both players have to say, is there anything that we're adding new cards would make a difference?
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, that makes me feel a little better, but at the same time worse in a different way. That they definitely should have some errata.
They should have been some errata. They should have looked through their old ones.
Yeah.
Because that was one when they were you technically couldn't be doomed. Like I would say, for example, for the Omen one, let's take that one for example. We'd actually be like, each player they'd say if they need an Omen or not, and let's say it was just the trader. The trader would be like, okay, searches for the Omen. Puts it aside, takes out 5 cards, puts that card back in, shuffle it, and the 5 omens are removed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If same thing with the players. And you just do that kind of thing. And if I feel like that would help. Like, this is definitely house rules, but I do agree this should have been something in an errata. Because it's not just house rules to make it better, it's literally making it so it's even possible.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Like, our scenario was terrible just because it was near impossible for you to win. Technically, it was. But this is literally impossible. Like,
and I don't know the specific details of this haunt. Do you?
I don't have them memorized, and we have not played all of the original 50. So
right. So I don't know if this is something that's like not revealed until the end. But I would definitely say if this was the kind of thing that like everybody knew at the start, you needed that. I would say put that out.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It said the heroes needed it. So usually, if you need it, they tell you everything you need as a hero. They won't tell you what the enemy needs.
Right.
So I think you both had to discuss, is there something I need? If so, we need to shuffle it to guarantee it appears in the right number.
It's an interesting discussion about how you figure that out amongst your group. So, all right, see, we're solving problems here. We should have like an advice column.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry that you came across this scenario in such a way.
Me too, and I'm sorry that I read that in such a horrible way that didn't make any sense. Last week we also talked about the game Mangaka.
Yeah.
And among one of our quibbles was the scoring system. Well, Mockman Press, publisher, actually commented, saying, "Thanks for the review. The scoring system is designed so that the number of points in play approximately doubles each round to make it easier to catch up if you're behind. Of course, you can play with fewer trend cards in the final round if you like, or any sort of house rules that work for you. If you come up with some house rules, let us know and we'll share them."
No,
so
I mean, nice. I definitely did feel that, and that was a nice thing. And like I said, the big thing for me is I want them in there because I don't want someone just ignoring and just doing whatever they want. You want people to stick to their, like what do we, Neil, have? Cell phone, like the need for normalization and monks and a priest.
Right. Well, anyway, but yeah, I do. Yeah, if we come up with house rules, we'll let.
We'll definitely be playing it more. It's definitely one I want to play more.
Yeah, for sure. A good intro gamer game. Like you might even be able to get like your family members who don't. Even but then you have to draw too. It's a whole other field.
I don't know. My dad tends to glaze over if it's not Candyland.
Now, don't tell him it's a game. Just say draw some stuff. Now, on the subject of the Resistance v. Werewolf, we unanimously, and by unanimously I mean between the two of us, came down on the side of the Resistance Avalon versus Ultimate Werewolf.
With just the bases, we should say.
Just Avalon base and Ultimate Werewolf.
But I mean, none of
revised
because we have not with the werewolf expansions and stuff.
Right. You can watch our video at full detail on that last week. Well, Rico Cordova comes in with a new contender. He says he hasn't played Ultimate Werewolf, but he does have the Resistance and One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Right.
And he prefers One Night much more than the Resistance. He says, "For me, the Resistance is okay, can be fun with the right group, but can so easily digress into a bunch of people just trying to talk over each other. In One Night with the app, you have an adjustable timer, he sets it at 2 minutes, to discuss, and then everyone has to vote. And after seeing this, it's become the only way that I'll play the Resistance. In my games of the Resistance, you have 2 minutes to discuss when building a team, 30 seconds to build a mission, and then it restarts. He says, I've had too many games of the Resistance draw out for 45 minutes to an hour. One Night plays in about 5 minutes. We usually play 5 or 6 games in a row. The roles are fun. The app manages everything for you. It's much easier to learn and teach than the Resistance. Recommends it over the Resistance by a wide margin." I have a couple things to. The first thing I'll note just before we start anything is I don't know, but it sounds like in the comment he only says the Resistance, not Avalon. So I wonder if that's part of it because the original Resistance doesn't have as many like the fun roles that like One Night Ultimate Werewolf has and Avalon has. So that could be part of it. And then there's the issue of group time taking.
I will say this let's start with the role thing first. Even with Avalon, assuming that the roles are much more like the werewolf roles, they're not that interesting. It's sort of like one guy knows everything, one doesn't. When the other one's more like every night you look at that person or you heal that. Like it's much more interactive.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
So in terms on the role front, I mean, once again, I haven't played One Night, but I definitely think because it's very interesting because you mentioned it. Playgroup this is one of those games where your playgroup matters so much. because I don't think we take more than 2 minutes without trying in art. We're usually like,
Yeah.
here's the group. Everyone ready? Yeah? Okay, vote.
That's what I was gonna say. And I feel like, I've never felt like the Resistance has gone too long.
And
ever.
either, except for the cards, but that was more because we're all confused on how the hell those cards work. Like, the special ability things in the Resistance, remember those?
Oh, the plot cards.
Yes.
Right,
Like,
those are weird. And I'm thinking maybe...
so I'm not counting, like...
Maybe what the issue might be, if he's playing with vanilla Resistance, maybe because there's less information to go on, it ends up people just discussing things endlessly, and maybe adding the roles would give people more of a sticking point.
Well, I think another really interesting thing, I just thought about this, is we almost sort of have all agreed to fail the first two groups, for the first two rounds. It's almost like we've all had this treaty agreed upon. Like, it's really weird. It's because we've played it so much.
We have a very interesting meta game in our groups, and also we've played it so much that, like you said, like it's just old hat at this point. We're like, I know, I'm picking you, you, and you.
And honestly, there's gonna be the first 10 or 15 seconds where Jonathan and I accuse each other. It's what we do. It's not even like, even if we're on the same team, we just do it.
So yeah, I do think it's super group dependent. If you haven't tried Avalon, I would definitely say give that a shot. I don't doubt that One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a really fun game. We haven't tried it yet, but Resistance is still one of my favorite games
ever. With the right group, these kind of social deduction games can be fantastic. With the wrong group. It's funny because usually our group, I would say, is the wrong group because we have a problem taking turns because we take such long turns.
Yeah, and yet this one we don't. I don't know. I don't know why that.
It's funny because usually, when we take our turns, I feel like half the reason we do it, and this is why I force myself to try really hard to be on a timer. Like, I will actually take out my phone and time myself at times. I'm very proud of it. I've gotten much better. But because it's like, I need to make the most efficient, absolute, perfect move. In social deduction, you'd think that would be like, I need to know exactly if Jonathan truly is my ally. Like something.
Yeah. The Resistance. Either resist it or it's futile. What can I say? Okay. Zion Merc Games commented on our review of the Lost Mine of Phandelver D&D starter set. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Because I don't remember as the Lost Mines. I'm like, what the hell? What was that?
Yeah, on our review, in which he wrote a lot. He said he's new to the world of D&D and DM'd a test campaign with some friends of his to make sure that they were into it. And basically, to sum up his comment, he created his own mini campaign for them, and they had a ton of fun, especially with the way that his group improvised and came up with creative ideas, and he had to figure out, how am I going to respond to that and react and that kind of thing. So he bought the starter set. Going through the book, I've got a lot of the same issues with it as you guys. I think it showcases combat, the overall feel of rules and whatnot, but I think it's missing a lot of the creative scenarios that become the most memorable. I figured being brand new for a starter set would have more thoughts along the lines of, if players attempt this, think about outcome A, B, or C. I know I can't predict everything players are going to do, but I was disappointed if it wasn't trying to train on how to do more of that, as well as tips for DMs on how to introduce that kind of thinking to the players, rather than the linear paths in games that are everywhere in video games. The immersion of the game and knowing they could do whatever they wanted to do is what they loved about my mini campaign. I'm struggling with how to tie that kind of stuff in on this starter set, and he talks about some more of the specifics about, Glass Staff and the Dragon in there.
Well,
we kind of said a lot of these.
And I do say, I probably did say this, but I want to emphasize it. Though I'm not talking to DM, I feel like you've gotten this. And the one big thing to take from this campaign, at least for me, was the idea of when making your campaign, you have your story, and you technically could have been like, this is my world, you have to stick in the rules of this world, but you didn't. You were very open with us. But the idea of when I wrote my character's backstory, I literally been like, here are some things just so you could be like, okay, I can sneak this in. So there's actually the personal side quest for Orion Praxis of finding A, or which is why it's almost annoying when one of our persons says, I'm an orc.
Right.
You even said I'm going to put something in for him. But this idea of because I did like that one, when we actually found Glassstaff for Neil's character, and he actually was like, it's Glassstaff, I'm gonna kill him. But like that kind of thinking, like to actually make us come across the small personal quest. Like you're not just on the big adventure. Your character has a reason for being there, and I think that was the one thing they did right. And that's what you should definitely take from from the Star campaign to your own. Is really try to make it so it's not just I happen to have these guys in my world. They're literally part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, unfortunately, it does kind of drop the ball on those other aspects of it. This comment did make me, and again, we said a lot of this stuff in our review, but it did make me realize that not just this starter set, but in general, I feel like of all the RPG books that I've looked through and seen, even the ones that are meant for beginners, rarely do I see one that really is a good first-time DM how-to guide. The best how-to DM guides I've ever seen are ones online or self-published guides.
We actually talked about how what we'd like to see from Dungeons and Dragons is literally take some people's best campaigns, or even famous people, and just Harmon, get him to do some writing things and be like, here's their story, why they did it, just little notes of we changed this, or no, here, I actually had a player try to attack this person for no reason, so maybe you want to do I think that's really cool, something like that. Because I definitely talked to you about the experience, and we both agreed on that. I wish there was something in there for you to be
what I would love is if there was a super colorful, friendly, where it was almost like a textbook, but where it was it would be here's the thing, and it would have lines reaching out to different boxes, if they do this. Do this. If they do this, do this. If they do this, do this. Maybe they'll do this. Then think about this. You might want to bring this back here, 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 or here. Really give you a ton of examples and ideas. Really.
Yeah, and that's why I think pulling through, and especially I know one of the things that could be very helpful. At least I would think for me, because I'm actually thinking of starting a Pathfinder for my friends who are starting to live abroad. But this way we can all play with the game over Skype. But to be if you want this, a mummy's a great monster for this kind of scenario, or a sphinx, something that also gives you suggestions where to look, because that monster manual is how many monsters are in that?
It should be like a player's guide almost. Is what I want.
But I think that's what, and just to hear other people's experiences and what they did maybe, so you can actually think. I mean, there was a topic which on the D&D Reddit we talked about a little while back of how a player did something really weird, something we never even thought they would do before. Mm-hmm. And the idea of that kind of stuff, and be how do you react to that kind of stuff? How do you react if, to a player walking backwards, or something? I'm not gonna say that, because that's actually something that should be just its own video. So we'll later time. But if we do, but it really is that's the kind of stuff. At least I feel as a DM, I would be curious in reading of how other DMs handled maybe weird situations, or even I know you're trying to do it, and God bless you for doing it, because I'm really happy you are. And hearing other DMs, but putting puzzles in there.
Right.
What are some cool puzzles? I heard one guy actually used sound and stuff. He actually played on a keyboard for them.
Oh man, I've heard some cool ones too.
But that would be a good thing too. As a starting DM, be oh, this is a great puzzle. I can just change a couple things and it'll fit in with my world.
Yeah, I definitely think there's room for a really great guide like that. Somebody go write it.
Wizards, listen.
And finally, Lookout Games gave us a little bit of a clarification on those Agricola expansions that we were confused about. They said there are 6 kits, as there are 6 different player colors. A Magic player would call the cards in those kits pre-constructed decks. The minis are an additional layer of chrome. Pick your favorite color or favorite deck idea, or get them all. So from the sounds of it, they're non-essential. It's get one if you think it sounds cool, add it into your game. Okay. Get them all if you're really into it. Or get none of them, just
if it builds a certain engine,
mix and match.
As we all know, you go the sheep engine. You got to get your sheep.
I gotta get that sheep engine.
And I got to get my summer home.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah. So it's a little bit. Hopefully that clears some of that up a little bit. And that's all of our viewer comments, and I think that's all of our stuff for the show. So on the count of 3, let's say who's gonna win this year's election. Ready?
1, 2, 3. No one.
Harambe. Okay. I'm voting. I think Harambe. Officially endorsing Harambe. So, if you didn't go out and vote, go do it. Otherwise, please leave a comment on this show about who you think won the election, or any other question that you have. As you can see, we had a large variety of interesting comments today. We really love to hear from people about any subjects, not just stuff that we talked about on the show, but your own board game issues, advice columns, that kind of a thing, love life troubles.
You know, before we go, I just realized our first story about the guns and games, it's the most legacy game ever.
Yeah, that's true. You can't. Make sure you let us know how you feel about that. That's important. Leave a comment right here on YouTube or email us rollforcrit@gmail.com.
And of course, there's so many other places to reach us. Twitter @RollForCrit. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Not Vine anymore because that's going away.
That's right.
And of course, there's always rollforcrit.com.
Yes, it's a great website. You can buy lots of the games that we talked about here today, D&D et al. Plus, there's more videos and news updates, more reviews, lots of fun stuff there.
All our fun playbacks and how to plays.
It's really, really, really good. And also, before we go, we should announce that we will be participating in the Extra Life charity event this year. We're going to be doing our second 24-hour marathon stream of board gaming. I believe it's going to be the weekend of November 18th, the weekend before Thanksgiving. So
God help us all.
Stay tuned for further details about that, but that will be a lot of fun for you and a lot of exhaustion for us. And hopefully we'll raise some money for children. Otherwise, happy election.
All right, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this has been a Roll for Crit.